All right, welcome to day 2. Today we're going to do our fitness assessment. I'm looking forward to this. Just a quick disclaimer, I just want to remind you, anytime you start an exercise program, you should always get cleared by a physician first. Make sure and check with your doctor that you don't have any concerns about that. As I do your consultation with you, obviously we're going to talk about any prior injuries or medical concerns, things like that, so we can customize and work around your program so it's safe for you to do this. Anyway, let's get to our assessment. First thing we're going to do is some measurements. You'll see on the website that we have a paper that you can download, and that has all the different measurements we're going to do. I'm going to go over several of those right now that sometimes can be confusing for people, just to show you what we're going to do. So on these measurements, the first one, ideally when you're doing these measurements, the less clothes you're wearing, the better. If you're wearing just an undershirt or swimsuit, so whatever's the easiest with the less clothes, just keep in mind that's going to be a good thing to do it that way. First measurement is going to be your chest measurement. And to show you this one, we're going to want to go in a straight line around your back and the bust line, right like this. Now on all these measurements, you want to make sure that you are relaxed. We're not sucking in, we're not flexing, we're just going to be relaxed so we get an accurate reading on here. And look down, see where it's at, record it on the paper. So that's going to be your chest measurement. The next one is your waist measurement. Now I know some people are higher waisted than others, and I've had different people tell me a waist is a different area, so we're just going to stick for consistency with your belly button. So the navel is going to be the landmark that's not going to move. We'll always use that. We're just going to go around your waist. Again, suck out, breathe, take a couple breaths, relax before you look down and take your measurement. You got it? Write it down. We're going to move on to the next one, which is hips, which is actually code word for butt. Your hip bones are clear up here, but your hip measurements is basically going to be around the fullest part around you like this. So what you'll do is just bring it around the thickest part, the greatest circumference around your behind. Look down at that number, write it down. And then one more I just want to show you briefly is your thigh measurement. This one can be confusing for people. I'm going to give you two options here. First one is what they call the gluteal fold. So if you just take the tape measure and you just bring it up like to the top of your crotch like that, as high as you can, and wrap it around, you'll get a number here. Another thing you can do though is go between your hip bone and your knee. If you go in the midpoint and just find wherever, again, just like with the butt, you just find wherever the thickest, widest point is on there along here. So you might shimmy up or down an inch or two so you find the thickest reading. Now when you're doing the leg measurement, you want to make sure you're standing equally on both feet, your weight's distributed evenly. You're not standing on one foot. That'll make it better. So that's how you do this one. There's a couple other measurements on there, but those are explanatory, self-explanatory. So that's part one, our measurements. Another thing to keep in mind, some of you, if you haven't measured yourself for some time, you might be an inch shorter than you were back when you were in high school. Some of you might be half an inch taller, so you can always just have someone standing against the wall, have someone do a flat pencil there, and then measure it. So just we'll want to check your height also in addition to these measurements, just so we can get these calculations correct. Okay, so that's part one with the measurements. We'll go to part two now with the scale and weighing. Okay, so once we've gotten our measurements, we're going to go for our weight. So you need a scale for this. A couple reminders with the scale, you're going to want to use it on a hard surface, so don't do it on your carpet. Do it on tile or hardwood floor, something like that. It'll be more accurate that way. When you weigh yourself, what I found is helpful for me, when I get up in the morning and use the bathroom right before I hop in the shower, that's when I weigh myself because it's the most, I don't have a lot of clothes on, it's always the same time every day. You'll notice that your body weight can fluctuate 2 to 4 pounds a day, just from morning to night. So many different factors can affect that. So when you pay too much attention to the scale or watch it too much or weigh yourself too often, that can be a problem. Especially for some people, I found they get very anxious and almost go crazy stressing about what the scale is telling them. And weight, that's something we can't ignore, our weight, but at the same time, it's not the end all, that's not our final goal, is a number on a scale. We're looking for health and fitness and improving your health. We're not just worried about a number, so that's just one small part of that. We're also going to worry about we're going to focus on how you feel, how you look, how your clothes are fitting. A common thing I get a lot is sometimes I'll have clients that will complain after a couple of weeks and say, I've only lost a pound or two, this isn't going as fast as I want. And right before that though, they're complaining that their pants are starting to get loose and not fit them anymore. So just something you can be aware of. As you're working out, as you're gaining muscle, as you're losing fat, fat cells take up a lot more space than muscle cells. Muscle is going to be more compact. So you'll be more tight and compact with more muscle on your frame than you will with fat. You might weigh the same though when you take that into account when you're gaining muscle and losing fat. I've seen transformation contests where the person didn't change at all from 3 months beginning to end, and they looked like a totally different person because they lost so much fat and gained muscle, and their body looked completely different, but they weighed the same. So again, weight is a helpful factor to help us determine how you're doing and track some data, but it's not our end goal. There's so many other things that are important. So, but we do want to track it. So I suggest weigh it at least once a week, same time though, same scale, same place, same amount of clothes. So you got to be consistent with that. You'll see on the chart we have, there's today's date for putting this data down. We're going to do a midpoint. I'll tell you when it's time to do that again. And then at the end of the 12 weeks, we'll do it again, and you'll be able to see the progress. So that's kind of a fun way to do this. I just want to talk briefly next about a couple exercises I'll show you. So we'll do that, part 3 of your assessment right now. Okay, so for part 3, we're just going to do 3 exercises. We're just going to measure our upper body strength, lower body strength, and abdominal strength with these. So the first one is going to be the push-up. And depending on your fitness level, some people have a hard time just doing a full push-up from their toes. If you need to, we can do a modified one from your knees. But the main thing with the push-up I want you to keep in mind is this. I've got a visual aid here. Imagine this ironing board. This is your body doing push-ups, and this is what your body should look like. You know, not with, I'll show you here what I see a lot of, like my kids' karate classes in place when they make them do a lot of push-ups. You'd see people will sometimes stick their butt up in the air while they're doing it, or they'll sag their hips down like that. So with this, we want to make sure and go from our ankles to our knees, to our hips, to our shoulders, a nice straight line, and then come down like there was a golf ball you're going to touch on the ground, and then back up. So we're trying to keep it straight as possible. If you need to do modified push-ups from your knees, same thing again, you want to keep your back straight. And so we're not bending like this, but we're going to keep our back nice and straight, come all the way down, and press up. So with this we're going to do as many push-ups as you can consecutive in a row for your push-ups. And that'll measure our upper body strength. Whatever that is, write it down. Then I want you to wait a minute or 2 before we do sit-ups. That's going to be your abdominal test. So with sit-ups, what we will do, put your feet flat on the ground, shoulders lying back like this. If you need someone to hold your ankles or put your feet under a couch, you can. If it's too hard to do it this way. But I want you to start in this position, and a crunch is just like this, a sit-up is like this, but we're going to do kind of an in between the two. I'm going to have you come up with your hands and reach them just beyond your knees. You come back, bring your head back and your shoulders down. We're not going to be pulling on our head, so we're going to keep our hands out like this. And I'm just going to see how many sit-ups you can do like this in a row until you can't do anymore. So we're just going to record that number of sit-ups. So that's the second thing. And then the third exercise is going to be for our lower body, for our legs. We're going to do air squats. Now with this, what we'll do is you're just going to go down, pretend like you're sitting on a stool or a chair, and stand back up. Some people like to put their hands out in front of them for balance when they do this. And then the trick with the squat, a lot of times when we do squats, we don't go far enough. We just kind of bend our knees and go like this. You want to make sure that if you had a chair or a bench behind you, you'd be able to sit on it. And you may use that for safety also if you want. So I just want to go like this, and you're just going to keep track and see how many squats you can do in a row until you get too tired or they start to heat up and it's like, nope, that's enough. So 3 exercises, push-ups, sit-ups, and the air squats. Do those 3 things. One more if you want, if you have access to it, just to time yourself how long it takes to walk a mile for some cardiovascular. You don't have to do that though, but if it's convenient, that's another great indicator we can track down the road. So those are your things. Go ahead and fill out your sheet, and then I'll be getting with you tomorrow. We're going to talk about your goals. We'll see you then.